Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 36 of the Talk is Cheap show. Hope you're all well, healthy, safe and COVID-free. Got a very entertaining show lined up for you today, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. But before we go any further, let me first introduce my regular co-host, resident expert, Mr. Curtis Shaw of Curtis Shaw TV in the house.
Pop. Yo, we're back in business. We won a game.
Wow, man. Wow. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, everything's good, man. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm not bad, man. I'm counting down the days now, man. Till the gym's open. We said that last week, but yeah, man. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm glad you're up to. What you been up to since we last spoke?
Nah, just the usual, man. The morning runs and trying to work out, working from home and putting out content. And, you know, Arsenal gives you something to talk about all the time, don't it? You know?
As I previously said, man, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? But anyway, it's also my great pleasure to introduce our special guest today, because we've got a special guest on. And it's my great pleasure to introduce our special guest to the show, esteemed journalist and broadcaster, Mr. Jordan Jarrett Bryan of Channel 4 and TalkSport Radio in the house.
What on Rasta? You good?
Yeah, I'm all right. What do you say?
Wow.
I'm good. You good, Curtis? What's happening?
Man. Good, bro. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too. I love that kit, you know. I always love that kit that one. It reminds me of Henri at Sunderland, but I love that kit. I love
this kit. Everyone always says, "Oh, we lost 8-2 in that kit, man." You know.
I forgot that.
I don't wear it too often.
I forgot about that still.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to this show immensely, man. Jordan, just before we get into things, before we start cooking, tell the people what you've been up to, man.
Oh man, I've been busy. Been really busy. Been doing some work on the last month. Been doing some stuff with Channel 4 News, the resumption of the football. It's been back, so I've been covering a lot of games for Channel 4 News. Also, TalkSport. Done some shows, presenting some shows. I did one with Darren Bent last week. Depending on when this show goes out, I'm doing one this Saturday night, Sports Bar 10 till 1 with Darren Bent again. So I'm looking forward to that. A few match reports, and my own personal platform, Black Academic TV. Our new season starting next week. So we'll be working hard to kind of get some stuff filmed and in the can for that as well. So yeah, man, been really busy, and also doing my runs too. So like Curtis, I've been out every day doing my little runs. I'm not probably running as long or as fast as Curtis, but I've been out there every day for trying to lose some weight. So I've been busy.
In that work, man. You're putting in that work. I have. That's good. Okay, man. So let's start cooking then, without no further ado. So since the last show, we have a weekly show, and it's been a couple of games since then. The first one was what I have to describe as very disappointing loss to Tottenham in a game that I feel that we should really have won. We were well placed to go and get a result there, but somehow we contrived to lose. So yeah, I'll let you chop it up. Curtis, first, what's your thoughts on that game, the Tottenham game?
I think it was an opportunity missed, you know. I mean, over the years, you know, we've been to White Hart Lane before and been beaten, and you thought, you know, that's a decent Tottenham team. This, to me, was a team that was there to be beaten. Confidence was low. We took the lead, went 1-0 up, but, you know, the mistake that gave them the equaliser, you know, when you go 1-0 up, you want to settle into the game and enjoy leading the game. We literally gave them the equaliser within minutes. We didn't even, you know, I was still celebrating Lacazette's goal, and next minute, Son's chipping it over Martinez. So, you know, it's like Tottenham did nothing really to win the game. We just sort of handed it to them. So I have to admit, I felt very flat and disappointed after that game, man. I felt slightly let down, in fact, by the team.
Yeah, I would have to concur, man. And I also felt very sorry for Lacazette, because after scoring a worldie like that in a North London derby and then to end up on the losing side, man, I mean, that must have been very disappointing for him as well. Jordan, what was your thoughts on the game, man?
Well, I agree with Curtis in as far as it was an opportunity missed. I think we came into that game off the back of some good performances, some good wins, and Tottenham didn't. And it was an opportunity for us to really grab 3 points and really beat our rivals on their patch. So I think in that sense, considering how the game panned out, I think we were the better side. I think we had the better of the ball, better of the play. but I'm not actually as disappointed as I think a lot of other Arsenal fans are and were, because I get why they're angry. It's a North London derby. No matter what, if it's a friendly or an FA Cup final, you don't lose to Spurs. So I get that. Just losing to them is annoying anyway. And I get the fact they're also frustrated the fact that we did play quite well and still lost. I understand that. But I've said to you offline for weeks and months now, Laurie, I think Arsenal are at a stage now where we need to start again. And I'm hoping that with Arteta, the rebirth, if you like, of Arsenal is underway. It'll take a while, but I'm hoping it's underway. And when you need to start again, I'm of the mindset that I value performances over results. And that sounds weird. And I get why people would think that's weird. But I think that to win titles, to win big trophies, you have to play well to win those games. I think Arsenal for too long over the last 2 or 3 years have won games that we didn't deserve to win, or we weren't convincing. And it's deluding us into thinking at certain times. Well, we'll get to that in a second. but for too long, there's been too many games where we've won the game and everyone's like, oh, we're great. And in my mind, I'm thinking, we wasn't good today. We got the 3 points, but we was not good. And I just feel that ultimately a run of good performances will eventually translate into wins. I don't think the opposite is sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable to win 5-10 games without playing well. Once, maybe twice, you take it. But I don't think you can put together a run of games which ultimately leads to trophies and titles without playing well. So going back to the Spurs game, what I took from that game was, in the last few games, Sheffield United, Wolves, the performances, especially now we're playing for nothing. Whether we finish 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, to me, it means nothing. Arteta needs to be getting into this team how he wants to play and get them drilled into playing well. Be hard to beat, and eventually, look at Leicester. Leicester, the year before Leicester won the title, I think the 10, 15 games the previous season, they were playing well, but they were losing and drawing a lot of games. But the performances were there. The following season, okay, different manager came in, but the blueprint and the identity of what they were trying to do was already embedded. So all they had to do was turn those performances into wins, and we saw what they went on to go and do. So for me, I think if we're playing well, you may lose a few games as we saw at Spurs, but if you keep playing well, eventually those victories will come. The opposite is not sustainable. No team wins titles by not playing well. Once every now and again, you might get away with it, okay. But you can't put together a run of 10 wins without most of those games playing well. And the Spurs game, I was heartened by the performance. When you have clowns in defense, you're gonna mess up. So I'm at peace with the fact that Mustafi Luiz, what's his name, the left back, Kolasinac, they're idiots. Those guys don't get heat from me no more, because you don't blame a dog for barking. That's what dogs do. So you don't blame a crap defender for making basic errors. That doesn't get anger from me no more. I'm at peace with that. What I chose to focus on is the overall team. And going to the Liverpool game, which comes in a minute, I can see as a team, the performances are slowly getting better. And that gives me hope.
So that segues nicely onto the second game. So if you were heartened with the performance against Tottenham, which I have to say, I have to beg to differ on that one. I wasn't really happy with the performance, I must say. But no doubt...
Because of the mistakes or because of the overall performance?
The overall performance. I think that we did game manage the game well. I thought that there were glaring errors by the manager, which we'll come on to, I'm sure. I thought the team selection was wrong. There was a few things I was unhappy about. And I'm with Curtis on that. We should never have lost to Tottenham. They were absolutely there for the taking. I know Tottenham fans, man, that they were worried about that game. So much so that we had my good friend Toby on the show, man. He was trying to play down the significance of the North London derby. And I was putting it to him that the only reason you're doing that is because you know you're going to lose. And he pretty much half admitted it, didn't he, Curtis, on the show?
Yeah, you know he wasn't confident. But I do feel he was playing slightly, slightly covering his back, because to me, the confidence from Arsenal fans, although it's good to be confident, I think it's a much more even game than people were acting like. People were like, Tottenham are in a bad run of form, we're going to go there and beat them. When are Tottenham easy to beat at White Hart Lane? I mean, they beat Man City at home this season with no striker. So, it was always going to be a difficult game, but I just felt like, I do get your point, Jordan. I think the performances, as you say, you can't sustain playing badly and keep winning. But I just felt like, you know, if a team is there to be beaten and you're similar in quality, you have to take advantage of that. At least get a draw. You know, worst case scenario, you do not lose the game.
Agree.
So let's talk
sorry, just very super quick. Sorry, brief on Spurs. I think, and I'm saying it on your show now, and you can clip this for 6 months' time. I actually think Spurs are the opposite. They won the game, but it's a little bit like they won the battle, but they're not going to win the war. So on the day, they've got bragging rights. They've got the 3 points. They think they're not as bad as they are. I think they've got big problems. I think Spurs have got really big problems going forward. So I think that they're what we were 2 years ago. They're winning those kind of one-off games that gas you up for 24 hours, 48 hours. But you look at the bigger picture, there's problems. I think there are problems there. So although we lost the North London derby, I think in 6 months, 12 months' time, we'll look back on this game and say, you know what? We lost that game at White Hart Lane, or whatever they call their toilet stadium, last season. But look where we are now. Look where they are. So that's just.
Well, I hope you're right.
I hope so too.
I hope so.
You both mentioned something there about playing badly and winning the game. Now, Curtis, would you describe the Liverpool win as such a game? Because I must admit, I personally didn't think we played that well. But fair play to them. They defended well in that second half and got the win. But I thought that, there was a couple of glaring errors that Liverpool made that virtually handed us the game. But up until then, I thought they were like threatening to rip us apart.
Do you know what? I don't think we played badly in that game. I think sometimes you have to look at, Arteta said after the game that the gap between both teams is enormous. I think if we'd have really gone all out attack against Liverpool, they would have picked us off. I felt like we defended well. I know they had over 20 shots on goal, but I don't think Liverpool had many clear-cut opportunities to score, really. They had a few. And, I think it was a pretty good performance. We didn't create a great deal. And we did pick a weaker side. You have to remember we had no Ceballos, no Aubameyang. There were players who would come in and improve the team. So I think although attack-wise wasn't a great performance, we weren't free-flowing and creating a lot of chances. I think overall, it's not a bad performance. We are the weaker team. They had their full-strength team out. We knew they would press and do what they usually do. I think Klopp would have been very frustrated by that game, which I think is testament to Arteta. And, one thing we've complained about, he was proactive with the substitutions. He made the changes early this time, gave us more.
Yeah, Laurie.
Yeah, well.
No, listen. He wasn't even listening to the show. Because,
Jordan's a troublemaker, I'm telling you.
No, but myself and Curtis have earmarked that particular part of his managerial style now for a while. And we're saying that hitherto, he's been very slow in making substitutions, almost Wenger-esque. And if you remember towards the end of Wenger's tenure, one of the things that people most ripped into was the fact that Wenger, his substitutions were always very late and very predictable. They were not game-changing. And I kind of felt that about Arteta. But anyway, before I go to that, Jordan,
okay. The game. Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of heat because I'm super harsh on Arsenal most of the time. I'm going to give them a little bit of credit, actually, for once. I think that I do agree with Curtis that I don't think we were great, but I don't think we were rubbish. But I think it goes back to the point that Curtis made earlier on, which is something that's been a big bugbear of mine for years, game management. The amount of goals that Arsenal concede in the 43rd minute, 44th minute, or the 88th minute. We're really bad at managing games at key points. And the fact that we game managed the game yesterday quite well and dug in. We dug in because Liverpool were on us. They were really dominating the ball and dominating the game. And we stood firm. So, whilst going back to my earlier point of the Spurs game, I'm valuing performances over results. The result to me didn't really mean much to me yesterday. I'm looking at how we're performing. Are we being hard to beat? Are we set up well? Are people jumping high, marking their man, holding their line, busting a gut to try and score goals? Those are the kind of the small things I'm looking for in Arteta's team. Like I said, when we finish 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, I don't care. What I care about is seeing what Arteta's trying to do with his team. And to get the 3 points, okay, we have to caveat with the fact that Liverpool are playing at 80%. They've won the title. They've got nothing to play for anymore. I know they had the 100 points thing, but we have to be honest. And Liverpool, if that was 6-7 weeks ago, Liverpool don't make those mistakes, I think.
No.
So we have to be honest and admit that we did get a little bit of luck. Van Dijk and Alisson, I can't remember them making a mistake all season. No. And they make 2 in the same game. So we've got to be honest and say that they were 20% off it. However, that's not our problem. Our issue is get the 3 points, stand firm, dig in. And we did that. So I'll give them some credit. I'll give them some credit in that.
Yeah. Sense. So just to round off, guys, I would agree with pretty much everything you guys have said on the game. I did think we were being outplayed for large spells. But I also, to give Arsenal credit, to lend some positivity to the proceedings, I felt that it was a game. If you look at that game in its entirety, it's a game that hitherto we would have lost. And it would have been a role reversal. So I've seen many games like that in the past where we have been the team that had the majority of the possession, created most of the chances, and yet, due to a couple of mistakes, went on to lose the game. Yesterday, Liverpool were the team that had the possession, most of the chances. They made the mistakes, we capitalised, and we won the game. And I would also say that we defended very well, especially in the second half, where we stood firm. So that was quite encouraging. So, yeah, you know what? Yeah, there's some green shoots there, man. So, yeah, I'm pleased about that. But moving on again then, those 2 games out the way, we've got a massive game coming up. The semi-final of the FA Cup against Man City. Let's start with Jordan. He's our special guest. The significance of this game and how you think it will play out. What's your thoughts?
The significance is high, I guess, in the sense it's a semi-final. Win it, and we're going to be back at Wembley because I know it's been played at Wembley anyway. But I think in that sense it's significant. We want to get to a cup final, but beyond that, just kind of further to the last 2 games. My last point, I'm looking at performances. I'm looking at Arteta, and I'll talk about Arteta in a second. But I'm looking at what he can do against. Oh yeah. I'm looking at what he can do. I think I'm interested to see what team Pep Guardiola puts out because they have the Champions League coming up. I think they want to win that. I think they really want to go for the Champions League. So, and no Aguero, he's still out injured. So, do they play Jesus in this team and risk him getting injured for the Champions League, or do you know what I mean? So, what team they put out, I think, will show us their intent. But Guardiola is a trophy hog, so he'll want to win every single trophy. So he will put out, I think, a strong-ish, if not the strongest team they possibly can. But I think off the back of the Liverpool win, what you don't want to then do is get smashed. Like I said, results for me are secondary, but you don't want to go to Man City or go to Wembley and play Man City and get smashed 5-0. I think that is, we need to be hard to beat. Arsenal, for me, are not a big team anymore. And I know that upsets a lot of Arsenal fans. We're not a big team anymore. So I think we need to be that team that when we play the likes of Man City, be hard to beat. If they're gonna beat us, make them work for it. Don't give them chances. Make them do something phenomenal. Be hard to beat, stay in the game, and we've got gunmen up front that can take a chance. But I think it's about, for us, making sure that we're solid, organised, and we give them a game. I don't want it to be game over by half-time. That would really annoy me. And I think Man City will be looking to end it by half-time to make subs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We played them on the resumption, the first game back, and
there you go.
To say that we got our pants pulled down, man, is almost an understatement, man. It was embarrassing. So I'm praying that we don't see a repeat of that. But Curtis, what do you see as the significance of this game, and how do you think it will play out, bro?
I mean, I think it is an important game. I mean, let's be honest, we've had a nightmare season, one of the worst seasons, maybe the worst season I can remember as an Arsenal fan. But sometimes you have moments in a season where you can just turn something around, a little surprise result. And I remember we beat Man City in the semi-final 2017 when they were favourites to beat us. They had a weaker team then actually than they've got now, but they're not impossible to beat. Even against Bournemouth in the last game, their defence, when you put pressure on them, they are quite weak at the back. So I agree with what Jordan's saying. We've just got to be, there needs to be some sort of structure at the back. We need to make it difficult. I'm happy that Aguero's not playing because his goal record against us is incredible. And I think, I hope I'm not jinxing us here, but I think Jesus is easier to deal with than Aguero. Hope that doesn't come back to bite me. But yeah, I think City will be trying to finish the game off quick. I think Pep will go full strength. There's no way he will want to lose to his old assistant at Wembley. He'll want another trophy. And I just hope we can show some sort of pride and, because in the first game against Man City, it was just too easy. It was just a walk in the park for them. So I just want to see those improvements. I'm not expecting us to win the game. I'm hoping we can win the game.
I agree with Curtis. So I agree with Curtis' point about they are beatable. Everyone's beatable, obviously. But Man City are beatable. For me, it's about the mind. We know we don't have good enough players to compete with them. Fine. So what you've got to do is two things. One, be prepared to work and fight. And the second thing is have the attitude that, we're not coming into this game beaten already. I think a lot of teams go into games against Man City beaten mentally already. We have to go onto that pitch believing we're going to beat you. We are going. Yes, we have David Luiz at the back. Yes, we've got Bellerin at right back, but we are going to beat you. I think if we can go into the game with that mindset, we give ourselves half a chance because good teams smell blood. They sense when you're timid. They sense when you're on the back foot. We've got to go there and say, no, we're going to push you back. We're going to make you work. I think if we can do that, then I think that will make up the shortfall, if you like, in quality that we clearly have against their 11 and squad.
Yeah, that's interesting you should say that because I think that's exactly what we got wrong on that game a few weeks back, the first game of the resumption. I thought that we were far too passive. We showed them way too much respect. And I personally don't think that's the way to beat City. I think if you're going to beat City,
put it on them.
I get all you were saying about the mindset has to be right. But I think the tactics also have to be right. And can we trust Arteta to get the tactics right, to get that?
Look at you smiling as you say it.
I do have my doubts as to whether he will approach the game in the right manner. I mean, go out there actually believing, like picking the players that will get you the result that you need. Like, I'm going to put my cards on the table now and say, I don't think that playing like we did yesterday, I don't think we're going to beat City like that. I really don't. No. Because then you're having to rely on huge slices of luck and the odd set piece, which we're not really that good at, if we're being honest. Every time there's a corner and a free kick, everyone's always, David Luiz will get a header from, and it never happens. You know what I mean? And no one else is really scoring headers and stuff like that. Okay, we've seen the odd worldie from Pepe, free kicks and Aubameyang, but we're not really a set piece based team. No. So I think we have to play to our strengths. When we played City a few weeks back, I thought we showed them far too much respect. We were too passive. We let them have possession of the ball. We didn't press and hunt them enough. And okay, David Luiz, that was a game from hell as far as he was concerned. But I said at the time, I thought it papered over cracks because we weren't in it at all. I think we were on our way to getting beaten comprehensively anyway. Now, Curtis, how do you think he needs to set the team out in order for us to get a result? So it's one thing having a mindset and you're saying, we're gonna close down and we're gonna put the tackles in and we're gonna go there with a belief that we can win. But how does he set the team up to achieve that? That's what I'm interested in finding out from you two. Curtis.
I think the way for us to beat City is on the counter-attack. I think you look at Liverpool, they're the only team to me that can go to City and actually squeeze them and try and win the ball back quick and dominate them. I think the way to beat them for us is almost how Wolves beat them earlier in the season, is where you're compact, you're difficult. And, Manchester City are a possession-based team. They're going to have a lot of the ball. You can't constantly just chase the ball or they're going to burn you out. But when you get the ball, you have to be dynamic. You have to be quick. I looked at City yesterday. John Stones lacks pace. Otamendi lacks pace. Fernandinho lacks pace. You know, we have got speed in our attack with Pepe and Aubameyang. You know, they can run Lacazette. So I think we have to be, you know, explosive on the counter-attack. I think the positive to take from the Liverpool game is I think Liverpool are better in defence than Man City are. We only got a couple of chances and we scored both of them, which is a positive. You know, we might not get loads of chances against Man City, so we have to take those chances as well. So I think if we can frustrate them in attack, be compact, make it difficult, be a little bit more physical. You know, every time I see De Bruyne playing against Arsenal, it's like he's having the time of his life, you know. I want to see someone lay one on him, you know, don't get sent off or injure him, but let him know it's an FA Cup semi-final. This ain't playground football. You totally looks like you're running right. So make it difficult for them and, you know, take our chances when we get them. And the team selection and the substitutions, again, will play a big part in this game.
All right. Jordan?
I actually think I agree with a lot of that, but I think the Wolves analogy and how they went about it, I actually think the opposite. I think we need to push from the front rather than being compact and solid and hitting them. I think then you're almost waiting for City to create a chance, and if they do, which they normally do, they're likely to score. I would rather they score a goal because we've pushed them and they've somehow done a sick passing sequence through our break, through our press, and got to our back line and scored a goal. I think that people get quick players confused with good pressers. I don't think you have to necessarily be quick to be good at pressing the ball. And Liverpool proved that. Some of Liverpool's players aren't necessarily quick, but they understand when to press, how to press, angles, who to press with. And
do you think we're good at pressing though? Like I look at Pepe and them, man. I think, you know, I don't think they're great at pressing.
Well, that's the example. But Pepe's quick, so people would say on the face of it, well, you've got Pepe, Aubameyang, and Lacazette. Now Lacazette's not known for his pace, but Aubameyang and Pepe are. But they're not great at pressing.
No,
all right, we scored a couple of goals from closing keepers down. That's not pressing. That's closing the keeper down. Pressing is as a unit. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I think that you don't necessarily need the quickest players to be able to press. I would like to see us really squeeze the pitch, really push up. If they're going to pass out from the back, and I know Edison can ping it like a midfielder, you know, 70 yards. Make him do that. Make him do that. I'd rather us push them and squeeze them back and be really intense. And if they get over the press, get through the press, I'll accept that. But I think if you do it correctly, it's a lot harder to score a goal, I think, when you're constantly worried about, from the goal kick, man's on my back, rather than they can pass it out, get over the halfway line, and then work out ways to try and get through us. I don't think we're good enough yet to be able to be a, if you like, Jose Chelsea team of 10 years ago, where once they lock in, you ain't getting through that. We ain't there yet. So I think our best strategy is to, from the get-go, push them high, push them like literally from the get-go, 20, 30 yards, squeeze them. And it might leave yards in behind, but that's when you have to have communication between your back, well, we're playing the back three, and your goalkeeper, and the distances between, you know, how far you push up, how far your keeper comes out, and can he play sweeper keeper? That's tactical, I would like to see. But that only goes, going back to my initial point, I think tactics only can be implemented once the mentality is right. I think once for the first 30 minutes, the opposition know, well, we're in for a game here. These guys aren't messing around. I think then you can implement your tactics. But I think you have the greatest tactics in the world. But if you go into the game mentally a yard short, mentally a bit timid, I don't think it matters. I think we need to scare City. We need to surprise City. We need to throw them off their game and make them know after 30 minutes, boy, these guys have come to play. If they beat us that way, I can take that. What I can't take is us sitting back, being passive and waiting for them to kind of score that goal, which inevitably I think they will score. So press high, but go into the game thinking positive. We're going to beat you today, and really, really believe it. From the kickoff, we are on you. De Bruyne gets the ball, don't let him turn. Silva's on the ball, put on him. You know what I mean? John Stones, scare him. John Stones gets scared easy from the first 15 minutes. Make him know that if on the ball, we're going to be really on your case. So make him spray it 30, 40 yards, because no doubt he will kick out a few balls.
I totally agree with your point. When I'm saying counter-attack, I don't necessarily mean, you know, sit deep and defend. I just mean, you know, have a structure that we can defend. You can't just open us up. Because you've seen in the last few games with Arsenal, we seem to start the game really well, and second half we just fade. And I don't know if that's a fitness issue. Manchester City are probably the best team at taking that energy out of your players because they move the ball so well, don't they? So the only problem we've got in midfield in particular, if you're trying to get to De Bruyne and these guys, have Xhaka and players like that got the energy to keep pressing them guys, because Xhaka's not the most mobile, is he? Let's be honest.
No. But this is why this game I wouldn't play 3 at the back. I wouldn't. Midfield.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? I'd try and flood the midfield. If they're going to get past us, make them go long. Make them go long. And they can win the games. They can spray the ball 40 yards diagonal. They can score that way. Sterling and Bernard, they can score. But I'd rather they score that way than play through us. So
I hear you.
3 in the middle, and I would really be intense from the get-go.
Yeah.
I think both of you guys have made some great points there. What I would actually suggest is pretty much a hybrid of what you've said, both of you there. Although I must admit, I'm more kind of in tune with the way Jordan's reading it. Sorry, Curtis.
No, it's fair enough.
But I feel like we have to engage them, man.
I just want intensity.
And accepting, you're the better team here. You have the ball. No, that's not going to get us a result. I'm convinced of that. We need to go out and engage them.
Just all I'm asking for is make them work for it.
I hear you.
Yeah, City like Arsenal, I would suggest their strengths lie in their midfield and their attack. Okay, so defensively is where they're left strong, and we have some very good attacking players, right? So I think if we're going to win this game, which let's face it, it's an FA Cup semi-final, so there is no draw. Yeah, you have to go out and try and beat them. And I don't think that the sitting back thing is going to work. We have to say it with our chest, man. Go out there, play, engage them, and try and win a game of football. So I think we need to play to our strengths. And our strengths is getting the ball to the likes of Aubameyang, Pepe, and Lacazette. And let's face it, because scoring goals from midfield has been a rarity for us. Although in recent weeks we've got the odd couple.
And one thing that's really important, kind of going to your point, Laurie, about Arteta's management, is what's really I'm looking to see as well. If they score the first goal, how we react. I don't want to see them score the first goal.
We're going to come to that because...
Oh, sorry, go on.
Because I know that that's where myself and Curtis are at odds with you on Arteta. But we are going to come to that. But anyway, so we've spoken about how to do it and the tactics that we need to deploy in order to get the win. Now, the big question is, what team selection is he going to use to get you that win? Which players would you like to see play tomorrow? And who do you think has to be stood down? Let's start with Curtis. What kind of team do you think he needs to play? Because this is important. This is crucial.
I mean, I agree with Jordan. I think I would definitely go 4 at the back. I don't want to see 3 at the back. The two fullbacks. So I would obviously Tierney will be at left back, and then right back's an interesting one. You know, for me, I wouldn't play Bellerin. I think Sterling's got him in his pocket. Every time I've seen him against Bellerin, he troubles him. I would actually play Maitland-Niles for the speed and the physicality against him. I think Holding, he did enough to keep his place for me against Liverpool. I'd bring him in. Where he's got a selection headache is maybe in midfield. You know, I would probably go with Xhaka and Ceballos and put Saka in that number 10 role where he played. Because he's got a lot of energy in there, and that allows you then to play Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang as the front 3, which I think that front 3 will trouble Man City if we get the ball to them quick enough. So that's what I'd like.
Ozil announced that he's ready.
Yeah, no, he's got a big weekend on Fortnite coming up. Yo, listen, Ozil should never play for Arsenal again, Laurie, man. He's done in an Arsenal shirt now. I think we can all accept that.
Yeah, okay. Jordan, team selection. Who would you like to see play? Who would you like to see stood down for this game? Four at the back as well, which for me demotes Luiz. I don't think you could put Luiz in the back 4. I mean, all our defenders really are much of a muchness, so I don't really care about our centre backs. To be honest, I would go Suarez at right back though, only because it's a bit of the unknown. I wouldn't put Bellerin in there. I do like Maitland-Niles.
But I have seen him struggle against top quality wide men as well. Had some good games against them too. I just think Suarez is a right back, and I think that you might get a solid performance from him. And we don't know how that's going to shape out. So I would take a gamble on Suarez at right back, left back Tierney if he's fit. I would go Xhaka, Ceballos, and do we know if Torreira is fit yet?
Well, he played yesterday, didn't he? He came off after about 60 minutes yesterday. So he is really, isn't he?
I would start him, I'd throw him in. Even if you get an hour out of him, I would put him in just to be a rat. Just give us 60 minutes where you're just literally on man's ankles. You're just on man's case. Just you know what I mean? Just be a dog. Just give us an hour of being a dog. Don't even get on the ball. Just be a dog. Do you know what I mean? And just make them know in that area of the pitch, semicircle, anyone that gets the ball, you're engaging them. Engage, they pass it off, you get back into shape. You get the ball on them. Give us an hour. Just 1 hour of that. I would go with those three in the middle. And then my concern about going Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang is you then have no firepower on the bench.
No, but his hand's kind of forced with that, isn't it? Because Eddie is.
I would start Saka. I would put Saka on the left, and I would have Pepe as a sub.
So who are you playing on the right?
Sorry, let me rephrase that. I would go Saka on the left. No, Saka on the right, Pepe then on the left, and Aubameyang down the middle. And
so Lacazette's getting dropped. Yeah. Oh, he's on
form. And Lacazette's my guy.
It don't sound like it. He's on form, bro. We've been waiting for his goals for months.
He is. But I think then he reacts one of two ways. Either he sulks or he's vexed. And you've got a guy, if it's doing the game, come 70 minutes, 60 minutes, you've got a vexed striker that's in form, that's coming on. Give me the ball. Give me one chance. I'm going to blow it. I almost cursed there. Just give me one chance. You know what I mean? So I would put him on the bench as like the angry striker to kind of. I don't like seeing Aubameyang on the left. I don't like it. I don't like crowbarring Aubameyang and Laka in the same team. I just think unless you're going to flat two, I just don't think it works. So I would go Saka right to cut in on his left, Pepe on the left hand side, and Aubameyang through the middle. That'll be my 11.
Okay. So we've done the formation, tactics, team selection. Now, big question: does Mikel Arteta have the tactical acumen in order to get a win over City at Wembley? Let me start with Curtis.
I mean, yeah, of course he can, man. As Jordan said, Man City aren't some sort of unbeatable football team. They've lost to Norwich this season. They lost to Wolves. They're beatable if you set up the right way. It's just, having watched the last game against Man City, he seemed to play with a little bit. It was like he didn't want to get beaten. And I think with this being a cup game, he needs to reverse that attitude and say, you know what, we've got nothing to lose. A lot of people don't expect us to win. Let's go there and make it difficult. Yeah. Pep. I would rather lose this game 4-3 than lose 1-0. Go there and score goals and miss chances and give us some sort of pride that we're going for it. We don't want to go there and just surrender to them. So he has got it, but I just hope he's not overthinking the game. I think sometimes that him being Pep's assistant isn't always a good thing because you're overthinking everything and what would he do in this scenario. Just set your team up the right way, play with a game plan, and don't worry so much about them. That's what I would like to see from Arteta.
Because I know, to be fair to you, Curtis, you've highlighted some what you call his misgivings previously.
Yeah.
And I know you've said, as I've said, that previously when he's come up against the better managers, he has been found wanting a little bit.
I can hear that little giggle in your voice as you're asking the question.
No, listen, I'm being a bit mischievous here, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
We've highlighted what we've seen as some of his failings, man. When he's come up against the better managers, he's been tactically undone a few times. Do you think he can get it right?
He can get it right, but I mean, look. I'm in full support of Arteta. I always want to make that clear. I'm in full support. I had a bit of a rant when we lost to Brighton. I called him Pep's cone man, but I was a little bit hasty, I think. But look,
disrespect.
I'm into it. It was a little bit, but do you know what it is? Well, I remember when we played Chelsea, I think I watched that game with you, Laurie, and, Lampard made a substitution after 30 minutes when they were being dominated. And that totally changed that game. And I felt like Arteta in that game was very passive. And in a lot of games...
that in his locker? Does Arteta have that in his locker?
Well, against Liverpool, he showed he has because, Liverpool were dominating, was starting to look tired. He dragged Herrera off. I think he made 3 substitutions at once. So... he's proven he can do it. I think we still have to understand that Arteta is learning. This is the first time he has been a manager, so he will make mistakes, but he has to learn quick. This is the top end of Premier League football, and it's not very forgiving. So I'm seeing shoots of improvement, but there are still things that I've got reservations about that I hope he can figure out quickly. One of them is, like you said, playing, for me, one of the best strikers in Europe on the left-hand side is something I just don't like seeing.
Jordan, moving on to you then. So, big game.
Yeah.
Massive game for Arsenal, really. Do you think that Mikel Arteta has it within his tactical acumen to pull off what would be a significant victory against City?
It's a difficult question to answer because... If I say no, that implies that, because I'll tell you what, if I say no, it implies that he doesn't have the tactical ability to win the game. And I don't think we know the answer to that question is the honest answer. And I think even if he loses the game, that doesn't mean that he's tactically inept. And if he wins the game, it doesn't mean he's a tactical genius. I think we have to judge it game by game. And as Curtis kind of said there at the end of his answer, he's been a manager for 6 months. He's been a manager for 6 months. And that Chelsea game you're referring to, if I'm not mistaken, that was his second game in charge?
Yeah, it was early. It was very early.
It was his second game in charge. And I agree that Lampard did something very, very tactically astute that won the game. And Arteta didn't react to it. And that's what won the game. I think it was in the 40th minute. He took off Jorginho or someone. Was it Emerson? Yeah.
And brought on Jorginho, yeah.
Brought on Jorginho, right. So those moments will happen. I'm forgiving of those moments. And if he gets done tactically every now and again, I can accept that. I do take Curtis's point. This is the Premier League. This isn't some, this isn't some training level. This is the top league in the world. And if you need to learn fast. One thing is, I mentioned earlier on, if we go a goal down, I want him to be able to let the team know that forget it. Even 2 goals down, no heads down. We go again. We keep going. Stick to the game plan. We don't capitulate. We don't give up. I don't want to see 1 minute is 2-0. I go for a tea, come back, and it's 5-0. I don't want to see none of that nonsense going on. Because and that kind of plays to the point that, again, Curtis made about he'd rather, if we're going to lose, he'd rather lose 4-3 than 1-0. I disagree. I'm the opposite. I don't think serious teams get involved in 4-3s. If we're going to lose, I'd rather lose 1-0. Because you can still go for it. You can still go for it and attack games and not score a goal. So just because we haven't scored, that doesn't imply there was no attacking intent. I think you get into 4-3 games. Serious teams don't have 4-3 games.
Do you know the only reason I said that, though, George? I don't, as you were saying before, have we got the defence to, have a 1-0 with Man City? I don't know if we have.
Well, maybe we haven't. But this goes to my next point, which is, I think I've said to Laurie offline about this for ages. And it was triggered by the Brighton loss. I genuinely think the opposition managers, even lower down the table, forget Pep Guardiola and Klopp, I think managers that are playing Arsenal and up against Arteta and Arsenal teams of the past, tell their teams, just stay in the game for an hour. Stay in the game for an hour. They will give us a chance. No matter how well they're playing, they will give us a chance. So what I want to see, and this goes to your criticism, Laurie and Curtis, about game management. I think it's a valid criticism of Arteta. If we get into an hour, 65 minutes, and it's 1-1, even with 1-0 down or 1-0 up, how does he manage the game then? Whatever the scoreline is at 60 minutes, how does he manage the game then? Do we protect it? Do we go for it? Do we tweak the system, the formation? I think that's what I'm looking for. And although it's a semi-final, I want to win. I'm looking at, I think, a valid criticism that you flagged is game management, his substitutions. What does he do after an hour? Do you know what I mean? What tweaks does he make? What changes does he make? That's what I'm looking, because everything I watch now is through the prism of next season.
I get it.
Because the season's gone for me. So I'm looking at now, what are you using this as almost the pre-season, if you like? And all those little intricacies of management and substitutions and tactics and lineups, I think are lessons that I'm hoping he's learning to implement from game one. Because from the start of next season, you can't say, oh, this is Lundberg's team. This is Emirates' team. No. This is your team, Adrian. So use this time now, these last few games, as an opportunity to prepare yourself and your team for next year. So I want to see us compete. I want to see us in the game after an hour. I don't want none of this nonsense where the game's over at half time. Be in the game after an hour, and then Mikel Arteta, I've backed you. How are you going to do? Do you defensively go solid? Do you go for it? Do you go, oh, what do you do? And that's, I think, the most important thing personally for me in terms of his tactics.
Do you know one thing?
It's interesting.
Sorry.
I'll just pick you up on something there. It's interesting you should say that as far as you're concerned, you're already looking forward to next season, so the results are not of ultra importance. But we seem to be hearing a slightly different thing from the manager. Now, I've noticed that after the game against Liverpool, in his post-match interview, he was talking about qualifying for Europe, and is also talking about money for players and stuff. So I would actually say that Arteta and Sanelli and the board and people like that are very much looking forward to.
They've got to say that.
A strong finish.
They've got to say that.
Is that they need that Europe money to fund players coming into the club for next season.
But we say that. But I mean, it's a thing. It's probably a different conversation for another time. But this whole thing, we need Champions League football. We need European football, because if we get into Europe, we get into Champions League, we can buy bigger players, we can offer a bit bigger wages. Hang on a minute. Over 20 odd years, when has Arsenal ever, when they were in the Champions League, gone and bought the best players in Europe? When have Arsenal ever, because we're in the Champions League, gone and offered the biggest wages? The irony is, when did we buy Aubameyang? We weren't in the Champions League. He wasn't in it. So the most marquee player we signed of recent years, we signed when we wasn't even in. So this idea that, oh, we got to get European football, I mean, they have to say that. I get what they have to, but as fans, this idea that comes out of the fan base that, oh, we've got to get into the Champions League, into European football because we need to buy better players, is a myth. One, because we've never done that before. We've never been big spenders on Europe's elite anyway. And secondly, I actually think not being in Europe could be a blessing. Arteta for me is a coach. He's a manager coach. He's not a manager. Next season, one game a week, I think would benefit him 100%. Having 2 games a week, you can't coach. He can't coach Saka. He can't coach Tierney. He can't coach Martinelli if you've got 2 games a week, especially Thursday, Sunday. So I actually think, and I thought for a while, I think it'll be a blessing not being in the Europa League. One, we're not good enough for the Europa League. That's the facts. That's the facts. We're not good enough for the Europa League. So let's just allow that for a couple of seasons, but really get some respect back. Really get the culture changed at Arsenal and look to the next 5 years where we can be the biggest club in the country once again. I think being in the Europa League next year would be the worst thing for us. It'll be the worst thing for us.
Curtis?
Do you know what? You make some great points. One thing I would say, I don't think we can skip what's going to happen this season. I still think a lot can change this season, what will affect next season. So although I am looking forward to next season and Arteta having, a transfer window and such, I think if we finish this season in a positive way, finish higher up the table, potentially win the FA Cup, I think those things can affect what happens going forward because, winning the FA Cup and such, those things can affect Aubameyang and, does he sign a new contract?
Really though? Really? Come on, Curtis. Come on. You're a bad man. You think finishing 7th and winning the FA Cup, Aubameyang's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to sign now. Come on. No,
but listen, all right. So let's say he's got limited options because I don't think Aubameyang's got loads of options. He's 31 on big wages, right? If he feels like, he's not going to look at it overall and go, 7th is some big achievement. But if he feels like Arteta's steering the ship in the right direction, we're winning big games, potentially we've won a trophy, I think that puts a thought process in his mind that, you know what, over the next couple of years, maybe I will achieve something. I mean, Aubameyang has not won many major trophies in his career, so he can't turn his nose up at an FA Cup win.
I think the only thing that will decide what will determine Aubameyang staying or not for me is money. I think if he gets the contract offer that he wants from Arsenal, he signs. I don't think it's about finishing 7th or 9th. I don't think it's about winning the FA Cup. I don't think it's about beating City in the semi-final and Chelsea in the final. I think all those things are periphery. I think if Arsenal give him what he wants financially, he signs. Even if we finish 9th and can lose 5-0 to City on the weekend.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying about.
I don't say that as to pay him as a mercenary. I just think he's 31. As you said, I don't think there's going to be a lot of offers. I think he'll have some offers. I don't think he'll have a plethora of clubs offering him 3K a week. I think that if he's settled at Arsenal, is a captain. I think if he can be if he can be our highest earner, bar Ozil, I think he'll sign. I don't think he'll get the captaincy, the position within the club, and that figure, that 300, 350K anywhere else. I just don't. No. I think he likes London. Where does he go? He ain't going Manchester. He ain't going Man City, United or City. Chelsea, maybe, but they're spending money on. Anyway. Yeah, so where does he go? I don't see where. Paris, maybe. But other than that, I can't see where he goes. So I think it'll come down to money.
Yeah, but it could also come down to the fact that, like you said, he's not won a lot of glittering titles in his career, has he? So if you're,
but where's he gonna? Where could he go where he could win those titles? The teams that are winning those titles, he's not won. That he's not got yet. The Barca's, the Man City's. Okay, Barca, maybe. Are Barca going to put down 300K for Aubameyang this summer?
Nah,
I just don't see it. So all the teams that he can win trophies at either don't need a striker or they can't afford 300K a week.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, he's won. I think he's won German Cup, so I'm sure he's won.
And he won one in France as well. I mean, overall, you make some great points. I agree with
the World Cup with Gabon. No disrespect.
No, he's not.
And to be fair, I don't even think he'll win the African Nations Cup with Gabon anytime soon. Anyway.
No,
so it's more down to domestic football where he's going to win his trophies. But if there's another, what about the likes of Paris Saint-Germain? I mean, they're going to win titles. They're going to qualify.
Yeah, I mentioned them. They're an option.
A team like that could very well come in for Aubameyang. They'll have the money.
They're an option, but I think the FFP team could be. I know that it's been a big talking point this week, and a lot of people feel that FFP's got. Well, this is the point. But listen, they've got Neymar, Mbappe. What's my boy's name?
Icardi.
They got some big earners over there. Can they add Aubameyang to that wage bill?
Well, they might. Neymar, they're saying he might go to Barca at some point, isn't it? So
if that happens, maybe, but there won't be a lot of movement time between seasons to kind of get those deals done. So I just think he wants money. It's like, look, pay me what I'm worth. I'm the captain and the top. I'm the gunman here and the captain. Without me, you guys are 15th. I'll stay. Just give him my money.
Do you think he's happy to play on the left?
Maybe not, but I don't think he's as unhappy as I think you probably think he is. Because remember, he played there a lot for Dortmund.
Yeah, in the early days.
He did. I don't think it's a problem for him. I prefer him down the middle. I don't think he's a great wide man personally.
Nah, he's not.
I don't think he doesn't beat a man. His cross is awful. I think you're wasting him on the wide area there. But I don't think it's as big a problem for him as I think other people think it is.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that Arteta's trying to be doing is, and I can understand it in a way, he's trying to shoehorn Aubameyang and Lacazette in the team. So potentially you got goals from both. And as we've seen, Lacazette's discovered his goal scoring form now.
But City don't shoehorn Aguero and Jesus in the team. You know, I don't understand this shoehorning.
They get more goals from midfield in Man City. You got the.
I didn't go about it that way then.
David Silva, Sterling, and all them, man. Them man are scoring regular.
Unless you're going for a flat 2 up front, like old school, I just don't think. Don't force it. Don't force it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Do what's best.
Right, so
gentlemen,
let me push you guys, because we're coming towards the end of proceedings. Let me push you guys for a result. Jordan, you're our special guest, so we'll start with you. Do you think we can get a win? And what do you think the score will be?
And be honest.
I was going to say, I think we can get a win, but you know me, I'm not one of those Arsenal fans that just because I'm on AFTV, I'm gonna go against what I think my honest opinion is. I think we'll lose, but I don't think there'll be much in it. I think there'll be a performance there. I think we will lose. I'm gonna go 1-0. I think we'll just lose 1-0.
Now give us your real answer, Jordan.
All right. No, you know what? No,
how big that Wembley pitch is, Jordan.
I think it'll be 2-1. 2-1 City. I think we'll just lose to it, but I think there'll be a performance in there.
Right, okay. And you're, like you said, you're more looking at performances rather than results because you got an eye on next season.
Yeah, I think, but that aside, I think that to beat City, you have everything has to go right for you, and everything's got to go wrong for them. Do you know what I mean? I think you're asking a lot for City to kind of drop significantly, and you have the best game of the season. That is a big ask. So,
no, but the one thing that we've seen since the resumption is that the form of all the teams pretty much has been capricious, and I include City in that because they look like world beaters one week, and then you see them a couple of days later.
Not really. Apart from the Southampton defeat, they've been pretty consistent.
Yeah, they've been definitely one of the better teams, but they haven't performed as well in every game because of the sheer volume of games.
I don't know. You know, most times I've seen City play, they've been pretty good. And even in the Southampton defeat, I thought they weren't that bad.
Yeah. Well, they certainly whooped our asses anyway.
That wasn't hard, was it? Yeah. So I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1 City.
2-1 City. Curtis, what are you saying? Result? Can we win? And give us your result for the game.
Can we win? Yes. But will we win? Probably not. I'll go 3-2 to City. I reckon there'll be a lot of goals in it, man. That big Wembley pitch, I think they'll pull our defence all over the place, man. De Bruyne sat on the bench for 90 minutes against Bournemouth as well. So
licking lips.
He's fresh, man. He's ready to run Xhaka all over Wembley, man. So I'll go 3-2. I'll go 3-2.
Right. Well, I'm actually going to go for an Arsenal win in extra time. 2-1.
Wow.
I think it'll be a game similar to the game against Liverpool, where we'll be defending for large spells. But I think that there's a certain newfound confidence after the Liverpool win. The vibes are good. So I'm riding off the coattails of that. I'm thinking that we might get a win in extra time. But I'm not wholly confident about that, I must admit. But we'll see, man. You know, I'm looking forward to the game, though. It's a massive game. I would beg to differ with Jordan slightly that I do think there is a lot of resonance on this game, man. Because I do think that the season largely has been very disappointing. So if we can beat City and get through to the final and possibly win this competition, I think that the lift that will give the club will be hugely material and will help us into next season. Certainly will help your boy Arteta.
Our boy, Laurie.
Imagine if he can go into next season off the back of an FA Cup win or even get into the final.
No, I agree. I would agree with you if it was a final, but there's still another game to go. So
do you
know what I mean? So I want to win the FA Cup clearly, but I just don't think it's as significant as I think you two. I think if we lose, it's not great, but you know, as long as it's not humiliating, you kind of just lick your wounds and move on. I think if we win, that's great, but we still got to then beat one of two teams who I think are better than us as well, Chelsea or United. So we beat City, but then we lose to Chelsea in the final. Then it's a bit like that City win didn't really mean anything.
Yeah. But
no, in my head, I feel like if we beat City, we'll win it.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that way as well. I'm thinking.
I don't know, you know, Chelsea and United are good teams. They are good teams.
I just think we'll beat either one of them. I think we've beaten. We beat United this season.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, and Chelsea are not great in my eyes. I think we could beat Chelsea.
They're inconsistent. They're inconsistent.
Yeah. So if we get the win against City, man, I think that sets us up nicely for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
if we can get that win, then I think we can look forward to it with some confidence, and I think it will help Arteta in his burgeoning management career, which I know that You're a big fan.
Come on. Come on.
Hey.
For Arteta, baby.
Yo.
But yeah, man. So in closing, thanks very much, guys, for coming on the show. Jordan, just tell the people briefly where they can find you over the next couple of months.
You seem to find me on the tube a lot. Every time I'm on the tube, I see people that are like, AFTV. And I'm like, yeah. On socials, _ Jordan J Bryan, Instagram, it's my name, Jordan Jarrett Bryan, 2 R's, 2 T's. Check out my Blackademic show, Blackademic TV, or www.blackademic.com. Talksport this weekend with Darren Bent doing the sports bar, 10 p.m. till 1.
Nice one. Curtis, tell the people they can find you, bro.
Yeah, check out the channel, Curtis Shaw TV. I'm on YouTube. But yeah, just check me out, man.
But listen, guys, thanks very much. I've really enjoyed the show.
Big up,
really
Jordan.
Listening to your
Thanks for having me,
opinions.
man. Cheers, guys. Anytime. I love this show.
Respect.
Yeah, man. And just a shout out to all the people who have continued to support the channel, especially throughout the current COVID pandemic. We really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching. Keep engaging with us. Send us in your comments. We really enjoy reading your comments and responding to those. And hopefully see you guys next week off the back of yet another win. Thank you.